I just want to add that, like,
What?
on my way here, I hit all the red lights, so I think Jehovah was trying to stop me.
That is definitely God's hand.
I hit so much traffic. I hit all the stuff, all the lights.
Hello, you guys hear me now? Ooh. Okay. Hold on a second. All right, you guys hear me now? Sorry, that was weird. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. It is Tuesday yet again, another Tuesday. Setup's a little different. I got my camera finally set up, and everything's going pretty well. How is everyone out there tonight? It looks like we got 5 people joined in and counting. Let's see here. This is on. Laura, how's it going? Laura Mermaid, how are you? Want to give a couple people more to come in? Yep, this is fun. But you never know. I'm probably just going to pop one on anyway later on. Uh, if I find out that my hair starts going crazy on me. My hair has a life of its own, people. I got horse hair. It's so light. It's crazy. What's up, Devin? Nate. Nate is in the building. What is up, man? I haven't been on Discord in a very long time. I went on yesterday after what? Like a day and a half. And then before that, maybe a couple more days. Yes, I do have hair. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Dinah. You know what? I'm not even putting these things on. Let me go back to the chat here. There you go. Waiting in pharmacy line, about to run out of gas, but I'm listening. Good, good, good. That's great. All right, so I believe I gave it some extra time. So I'm here today because I want to interview a very special person, and this person is special because me and him go way back. We go back, obviously, with the JW organization, um, and when I was starting to doubt and have, you know, my thing with critical thinking, I had heard something about this guy that he either left or he was disagreeing on something. I couldn't really remember, but I decided to send him a message on Messenger. I found him on Messenger and I sent him a message because I was like, wait, give me a second. Guys, he's breathing on the mic and I can't hear.
My bad.
Just take it back a little bit. There you go. Sorry. So it's funny because I sent him a message and I'm like, dude, I think I'm awake. Like that was the only thing that I had said. And he responds and he's like, anyway, I'm gonna let him explain because I don't really remember. But I'm gonna introduce to you JASIA, my good friend JASIA. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. You can put the mic up a little bit closer.
Okay.
So, Mr. JASIA, bro, we go way back, man.
Yeah.
And we didn't rehearse this.
No, not at all.
This is not rehearsed.
Off the dome.
Off the dome. Do we look alike, guys? Like this is like my brother from another mom. Like this is my guy right here. This is my new best friend leaving the organization, and probably, one of my very few friends, to be honest. Oh, loving the new studio. Thank you, Laura. Hey, Ruby. Ruby's on too. What's up? So we're gonna get right into this, and as per usual, everybody starts off with, what's your background? This is no different. I will continue doing the same thing. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So tell me about yourself, man. And so let's start off with your age.
I'm 30.
You're 30 years old.
Yeah.
So I guess I can start by saying, were you born and raised in the organization? You brought up?
Pretty much. I my mom was inactive when I was born,
Okay.
and she kind of stepped away for a while, married my dad, had me, and by the time she had my sister, she was like, I need to give them some type of religion, the truth, as we knew it.
The truth. Yeah.
And so that's when I came engaged around 4 years old. We started going to the meetings,
Okay.
which was kind of strange because we hadn't done it up until that point. But yeah, that's how it started.
And I did not know a lot of the, that's why I'm interviewing too, because I also benefit because, like, yeah, we knew each other for so long, and we drifted because obviously you were in a different congregation. And you moved a lot. Like,
yeah.
how many times did you move?
I moved, I want to say 4 times. 4, yeah, I think. I don't know if you knew, but I lived in Delaware for a couple months.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my uncle was sick down there, so I had moved to help out with that when I was younger. And then obviously back to Mass. I moved to Rochester, New York, to help out with a Nepali group at the time.
Yeah, Nepali. Good old Nepali. That was the thing back then. It was either sign language, Portuguese, or Nepali.
Yep, that's what we had over here.
The most random language. So yeah, so continue telling us about that Nepali. Yeah.
Yeah, over there. I mean, I went out there because I wanted to, serve where the need was great, and I was a servant at the time, and they didn't have any. I think they had one elder taking the lead. At that point, I had been involved with Nepali for maybe 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So I was.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I was pretty fluent at the time. So it was a huge. I thought I could be a huge help, to be honest.
I mean, not that you're not smart now, but you seemed very smart back then.
Yeah.
And I was actually a little intimidated, not gonna lie, because we had a great circle of friends. Like, they were funny.
Definitely.
They were great. They were funny, even though they're not around anymore. But that's fine. But we all were like looking up to each other in some way. And I remember, I'm not gonna say his name on here, but you already know there was this one guy, the most funniest. He's bald now. Sorry. But we always said this guy, in a nice way, like, is he gonna get like his ministerial servant or this? I mean, the dude doesn't wake up Saturday mornings to go preaching. He's playing Halo, Call of Duty, Diablo all the time. Yeah. So we were always making fun of him, but there was also a side of us that said we have to at least lead by example somehow. And we were trying to figure out who's going to become the first ministerial servant. And it's crazy because you were the one guy that even outside the circle, we were still getting along, and everyone got along. It was weird. It's like, when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you get along with people, and they just become like your family. But the point I'm trying to make is that even though we knew each other, we felt close when we were, around each other. But I still looked up to you, like if you were like I don't know, Matt. You became a ministerial servant like at what age?
I was 20, I think.
You're 20.
Yeah, I think I was 20.
You're 20 years old. Yeah, I think around that.
Because I couldn't drink yet. I remember.
But you were 20 years old. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, when we drifted apart, I did hear about you, going to Nepali and getting wrapped up in that. And I thought, I don't know who told me, but somehow somebody told me you were in Nepal.
No, I didn't go to Nepal.
Not even for the preaching.
No, I wanted to. I really wanted to. It was just, I was young. I didn't really have a stable job at the time at like 20. So to get a plane ticket was kind of the struggle.
Okay. I see that. I mean,
I traveled a lot locally. Well, I mean, like relatively locally.
But you're always around, man. I mean, you're always everywhere. We lost touch, but anyway, we'll get back into that. We'll dive into like what's really crazy. So you mentioned that you have your mom, your father is not in the truth.
No,
No,
never was.
And how many siblings you said that you had?
I have 2 other siblings.
Yeah, and obviously it's gotta suck because you're in a position right now that you're not attending any more of the meetings, and this is pretty much the closest family that you have, right? You're with them every single day. You hang out with them every day. What are their thoughts? I mean, do they know what your mindset is right now, or?
Yeah, I had talked to my mom about it several times about where I stood with the beliefs and what my thoughts were on certain things. And since I came at her with sincerity and just these facts that she knew, things that happened in my life, she didn't blame me for not thinking about it anymore. So it didn't affect us too much because she had this understanding. So it's a little bit step backish. She doesn't obviously invite me to everything she does,
right? Of course,
but she doesn't treat me any different from before I told her.
Yeah, that's giving her an applause because the fact that she's not treating you as most of us were treated when we woke up and decided to leave. But I commend you for even though she's allowing herself to talk to you or whatever, at least it still hurts because it's like you never know if she's gonna just change her mind one day to the next. Like anything could just And she's pioneering at all, or
she not anymore. She was back in the day, but it's been a while.
Now, your childhood or growing up, once you guys really dove deep into the truth. I still say that sometimes. It's like
bad habit.
It's a very bad habit. But when you guys were attending the meetings and how was that growing up? Like, how was your upbringing in the organization? I guess.
It was interesting because we didn't have a spiritual head before I was baptized.
Okay.
So it was just everything. We'd study with my mom, and we didn't really have like a formal study with my mom like every week. Considering one book, every week, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
She would just study with us. Sometimes we'd study the Watchtower with her when we were kids. So when it came to them asking the questions, they just thought we studied with our mom already for being a publisher, for being baptized.
Okay.
So that's how that went. It changed after I got baptized, though.
In what sense?
Well, because now it was my responsibility.
I guess.
It was my responsibility to have family study or family worship night, what it's called now.
Yeah. You become the new head, essentially.
I'm the new head, so I got to do the prayers for the family. I got to do this and that. And, I was 12, 13 when I was baptized. So that's a lot considering, being a teenager and already having enough issues already, just growing. But
wow. I think I got baptized at 16. I mean, it's a little older than you, but obviously it's still young.
Yeah, it's still.
And it's like you mentioned earlier, you weren't even allowed to drink. I mean, the fact that once you start drinking, you're allowed to drink. I think that's when you can say you're not young anymore. If you start drinking at 21 and you're 20 years and younger, I still find young. And for a witness to get baptized at that age is young. And I don't want to go too deep into the whole baptism and the doctrines and all that, but going back to you, after you got, so that must have been like extremely hard, obviously, taking that headship for your family. And how what were your plans after that? Did you end up pioneering?
Yeah, I started pioneering while I was still in the Spanish congregation when I was 16.
16.
And to me, that was like the best decision at the time. Like it was like my next step.
Right.
Everyone's always encouraging, the younger ones
Yeah, they
to
just push it,
you know,
yeah.
auxiliary, try to get to regular, and it was like such a hassle because I was young. So in the Spanish, for me, at least in my hall, it was, I had to keep like nagging the elders because they would not make any progress. They were like, I'd be like, hey, so what's, any updates? Oh, we forgot to send in your app. Like, it's like, oh, okay, cool. But I just thought they thought maybe I wasn't going to take it serious and that I would forget about it and maybe they'd hold on to it for a while,
Yeah.
I don't know. But.
I mean, did you guys have in your hall at least that one elder that would pass around those slips for field service and hassle you over? Like, because we had an elder that would pass those slips to go to field to apply for auxiliary or pioneering. I mean, what was it? What is it? Auxiliary and
regular.
And regular. It's just such a dumb word. Yeah, I'm a regular pioneer. Okay, so if you're not a regular, then what are you?
I know, it's really weird. It's strange.
It's like the way they diminish their brothers without even actually trying. Is
I know, it's real. Like, it's like they're spitting on them.
But yeah, like what I was trying to the point I was trying to make was that we had this elder. He was every meeting just he was the one elder that always approached you at the end of the meeting to ask you what did you learn. Like I know, I'm sure you guys tell me every elder at least in each and everybody's hall, you guys had an elder that would do that, ask you questions. Hey, what did you learn? And then go way off topic and talk about something that is in the Bible that is so deep that there's no way of you actually answering him. But I had that brother, and he was always harassing us to go pioneering, auxiliary pioneer, regular pioneer, and that's starting at a young age. They're not only pushing you to go and do your pioneer, your field service. They're saying for you to survive Armageddon, you have to do those things at a young age, and it's hard because you have a lot of things to look up to, and you have friends, you go to school, you have your whole life ahead of you, and no, they're just pushing you to preach. But obviously that's exactly what you did.
Yep. I fell for it.
You fell for the trap, man. And you ended up becoming a ministerial servant, right?
Yep.
And now how was that like?
That was kind of nerve-wracking. That's what I kind of wanted it to happen sooner. I was trying by like 18. I was like so active. But they said that over the years, the thing that held me back was the fact that I didn't have a car.
Okay.
And they said that it was important. And I understand where they were coming from, but I was still like upset about it. Secretly, I wouldn't show it, but I was like, come on, like a car, seriously? What about those brothers in Africa that walk? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that part of the Bible? Like, I would say,
right.
And maybe that's where my questioning started. Like, what's that about? But yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought when you were a ministerial servant, they were actually an elder.
What?
Because I mean, the fact that I heard you had opened up a meeting one time. Tell me about that real quick.
I did that before I was even a servant.
Oh my god!
I was in Canada visiting a Nepali group.
Yeah,
and they didn't have someone fluent to speak, and I was for maybe 3 or 4 years in at the time, and I could definitely just introduce the speaker and say a prayer and start the meeting. Like, it was not that hard for me.
Before becoming a minister, so
yeah.
Wow.
Because nobody else could.
Nobody else could, or nobody else would.
No one else could, because the only other person was the speaker that I came with.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. So it was either he would introduce himself and start It just didn't seem right.
Oh man, I don't know, man. That was, dude. I get nervous. I presented one time,
Yeah.
I mean a couple of times, during the Sunday service, and that was nerve wracking. I twisted my words every time. I messed up all the time. But this was in the Spanish congregation, and I'm not saying I'm a bad Spanish speaker, but you know, once in a while, if you're bilingual, you speak multiple languages. Eventually, something you're gonna twist somewhere.
It happens sometimes. It takes a lot of mental gymnastics initially.
Yeah.
That happened to me learning Nepali. I would try to speak Spanish and Nepali would slip in all the time, or the other way around. You know what I mean? And it would throw me off. It'd throw the people off I'm around with. But it took me, maybe less than a year, but almost a year to be able to divide. My brain.
Speaking of Nepal, the Nepal group, you had I'm just gonna say his first name. You had Jermaine as like the leader of the pack, right?
Yeah.
Because this was a guy that was intense.
Oh yeah, you knew him personally.
Yes. Listen, we had a group. I think it was like 9 of us, who played. I believe it was Call of Duty at the time. It might have been Halo. It might have been Halo because this is Jermaine.
Could have been both.
And he went up to my ex-brother-in-law's wife and just ask her questions like, "Hey, does your husband play this video game?" Just random. she's I guess she stayed quiet at first, but then she's like, "What's your interest? Why?" He's like, "Well, because," he completely lied. And he's like, "Well, because there's a brother that plays," and he said, he says he plays with your husband. He has played with your husband, so I want to know if he's still playing or not. So anyway, this brother decided to tell my ex-brother-in-law's wife that she should give him the names of all the people that he plays with. And the thing is, wow, are you kidding me? Anyway, he bribed her into giving him the list, but she said, "Promise me you won't tell them, you won't talk to them." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna talk to them. I promise, I won't talk to them." And I think a couple days went on. The next meeting happened, and all of us were invited to the back room, and just to discuss the fact that we played Halo or Call of Duty. And I remember he got up, my ex-brother-in-law got up. I was at the end of the table. He got up extremely furious. The fact that, they lied to his wife, that he put all of us like out on blast. And it was an invasion of privacy, and he lied. And these are brothers that are under Holy Spirit, and they're lying, and they're cuckoo for Jehovah buffs.
Good one.
We want
content.
But it's funny. I want to talk about this brother. Was everywhere too, man. The dude was like a plague. He was just everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, we used to call him a Bethel agent.
The Bethel agent.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
you never knew where he was gonna be.
No, I worked at McDonald's one time, and Jermaine's smile.
Yeah.
That creepy smile.
Yeah.
Looking like the cat from Alice in Wonderland. It's all you ever see. I'm working at McDonald's, and we have in the aisle with the fries, making the fries, and me walking in this aisle, heading towards the front counter, we had this mocha machine, and then like it's the soda machine, and there was this crack between both of them. So there was a space, right? I said crack. There was a space in between. And I'm walking down this aisle, and I see this black spot.
That's one way to put it.
And just teeth smiling and just frozen still, and I'm thinking, oh my god, there's a freaking demon here. It's just so random. Like I jumped. I freaking he's still standing behind the machine, staring down the aisle at me and smiling, and I'm not saying nothing. And then he leaves, and then he walks away out the store.
Okay.
And at the restaurant, and I'm like, this guy, man. That's the thing. Just like you mentioned, the Bethel agent. That's what they did. They were always out there looking for you to screw up, to see if you would screw up. And it's such an invasion of privacy. It's so controlling.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so if you want to at least explain to the viewers that are watching, what were some of those challenges that you faced when, obviously, the challenges that you mentioned about becoming the head of the house,
right,
whatever. How did you end up overcoming that? Does it still, you still carry that with you, or because you're out now, like you feel like, how is that affecting you right now?
Honestly, I haven't really thought about that. It just I don't think really affects me much now. I don't really think about it. At the time, it was such a huge thing for me, though. Growing up, it was like, oh my god, like I got to do this. This is what I need to do, or I'm failing my family. Like, how am I gonna, eventually, become part of this congregation and serve this congregation if I can't, handle the few people in my family? Like if I can't take this serious, how can I do that? Basically, and that was always weighing on top of me. On top of making sure I was doing the right thing, making sure, I was living that Christian life I was supposed to be living. And
he's a good boy.
Yeah. And then there was school, and then there was, being a teenager growing up and having all the hormones and things going on. Like it's there's a lot.
Of course.
It was a lot, but
yeah, it's understandable to feel that way. And that's the pressure as a male in the congregation too.
Big time.
They're pushing that. I heard this when I was in too, that if my family screw up, it's my fault. If they're slacking, it's my fault. If they're not getting ready for the meeting, it's my fault. And I carried that as well in my marriage. In my first marriage, it was the same thing. If my wife is slacking, it's my fault. But then on the other hand, I had other people saying, your spirituality is your spirituality. Whatever you do with it, it's all on you. It's up to you. It's your responsibility. You don't have to rely on anybody. But then on the other hand, they also had the same teaching, and that's the problem. The teachings that they have is they always have two sides to every story, but it's always the same. In their eyes. But I forget where I was going with this. I don't know. But the point is, it's I've been there trying to, be the head, and it sucks. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, women have a hard time as well. They have to be in subjection.
Yeah, that's.
And did you feel like your mom was like that to you because you were the head now?
When I got to a certain age, I feel like yes.
And that didn't go to your head, like, oh look.
I think it did. I think it did, honestly, a little bit.
For real?
There was a changing point when I was like, if I'm doing all these things right, like people will think highly of me, and I like that idea. Like I was in that mindset of. Well, I'm supposed to be doing this anyway, and if I do it, then everyone's going to look up to me or think good of me. Intern sisters, that's what I had in the back of my mind. Also, be like, okay, I got to be an exemplary male for sisters to be interested. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. How is your dad taking all this? Like,
see, that's tough because my dad, was not really that involved in our lives that much. Like normal. We didn't have conversations with him. We rarely did stuff with him, like ever. Like it was just, the three of us, then four, because my other sister. And we would just do stuff like I would be always out in service because I was pioneering, or if there was always, spiritual gatherings of some sort or spiritual activities that we were doing. And he would never come. Although like they welcomed him to come to a study or whatever, but that's not his thing. So rarely in the summer we'd go out, like maybe to the beach, or out to a cookout, have a cookout or something. But it was like he wasn't really involved, but also we didn't really have anything that would interest him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
how's your relationship now with him?
It's miles better.
So it goes from not that great to way better now.
It's way better.
That's insane.
Yeah, like we actually talk like adults. Like he's not like careful with the words he uses around, because like even before he wouldn't swear around us intentionally. He would not swear. Wow. He'd keep it really clean. The subject's really clean. What he was watching, like in the living room, fairly clean. But now it's like if it's just me and him, it's like whatever, we're just.
Ain't that something in the organization? They always paint the husband, the unbelieving husband or unbelieving wife, as this arrogant drunk that is rude and disrespectful. And yet here's your dad, and your dad is he a professional chef, or is he? Was he a professional chef? Or
no.
This man can cook.
No,
that's another added bonus.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How did your mom feel watching these videos of these exemplary women that had abusive husbands that they showed in their videos?
I don't know. She wouldn't. We've never talked about that with her. I guess I never thought to ask her either.
Yeah, but but I commend your mom because they're still together. And they're not letting religion that's a good thing.
Only one on my dad's side of all my dad's siblings that are still together. It's crazy.
Wow. Well, so it's interesting, your story, because you're still in the house, right? And we don't get a lot of witnesses that leave to have that privilege to continue having a relationship with their families. And I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. A lot of people on here are as well. And it's not easy. And if you were to do it all over again, if you were to answer someone's questions and help them out, is there any advice you can give to them when it comes to waking up and approaching their family? Because a lot of us tend to want to go quickly to our parents, quickly to our family, and tell them what we have uncovered, what we've learned. And it's scary because obviously they're told to ostracize you immediately. But your mom is just sitting there
yeah, I haven't thought about, I guess, that moment when I told them together, my dad too. I sat my dad down. My first play was to get my dad to soften my mom, or at least to be there next to her. You know what I mean? I set up her comfort because I didn't know how she was going to react.
Yeah.
So I got both of them. I said, "Hey, Dad, I need to talk about something with you and Mom, and need you guys to come to the living room." Sat them down, and I started going into, what I believed at that time. I was not fully awake, but I knew something was wrong, and I didn't want to be a part of it. I hadn't dove into much of the information or any of the YouTube videos at the time or anything.
Yeah.
I just knew that I went through enough of experiences where I knew something was off.
Yeah.
And something wasn't right. I told them, that I was done with it. There's this, it's not okay. My mom understood. She knows what I went through. And
no buts or
there was buts for sure. And I told her, but how many times does this have to keep happening?
right.
You know, how many times can I be tricked or have the elders, you know, mistreat me and it be imperfection? You know, how many times can we use that excuse that, oh, it's, you know, it's imperfect organization, but it's God, you know, God's perfect and he's the one leading it.
Right.
And she's logical. She understood that. So she was, you know, in tears, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
She was really struggling with it for a couple of days. She's like, I have to talk to the elders. I have to tell them, you know, like for myself, not for you. She's like, and I understood that. I said, you do what you have to do, Mom. That's going to make you feel better.
Wow.
Tell them.
Wow. You're calm and peaceful about it. That's not a lot of people can say that they can do that. But it looked like she was also respectful.
She was.
And that made things a little easier as well. And it's also the way you approach the situation, because you said that you sat them down. I'm pretty sure you were polite about it. How like what like did you think like it was gonna go sideways real fast?
I thought it was gonna go pretty bad. I didn't think it was gonna be an argument by any means, but I just thought she was gonna be crying a lot more. And I thought like I thought she was definitely gonna tell the elders and they were gonna be, you know, hounding me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But at that point, the elders hadn't talked to me in like almost a year. Like I hadn't gotten like invitations to Zoom meetings. Like I wasn't in the loop in the congregation at all. Like I hadn't submitted a field service report in like 8 months.
So you were in different and either a different hall or different halls at the time during that gap, right? But so that means that your cards always stayed in that hall.
They should still be in the English hall that I wasn't here.
Oh wow.
That was after I had moved back from Rochester, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I don't want to say that's lucky. I mean, it is lucky.
It is in a sense.
Because the thing is, like, I had to make a plan. I had to plan, you know, maybe if I move my cards over. The minute I find out it's at the new hall, I just cut ties and just leave. That was my plan. You know, because if I'm moving to a brand new hall with brand new brothers, they're not gonna know they're not gonna know me, period. How I think, what I'm thinking, what kind of person I am, if I'm even, you know, a chill guy or whatever. And that was my plan. I was like, okay, they're not gonna know anything if I leave. Maybe they'll call me once in a while and I'll just play the I didn't see your call card. And it's funny because actually they still text me.
Really?
I got an invite like 2 weeks ago with 100 people on the evite to a JW, not XJW gathering, but back to the congregational gathering. And I'm like, what? I guess the English congregations don't know how to have a YouTube or anything. I guess.
Or maybe they forget they just hit all.
Dude, it's so ironic. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, no English brothers know about my position that I have a YouTube channel, but like the entire Spanish congregation knows, and not just them. You got like Plainfield, you have freaking like they're just different halls everywhere. Already know.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I have this person to think. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. Who was our best friend growing up?
Yeah.
He was the one guy I thought that was like never going to get baptized.
Yeah, I was convinced myself too.
And he's very critical. He's extremely critical. If he's watching right now, I want to enjoy this. Because he rejected your, like, what was your thought? Like, what was it that pushed you to say, I need to leave?
I honestly, I felt very disrespected by my group of elders, or the congregation, most of them, because I felt like I came back from New York and I needed like support, like just congregational support. Like it was a big thing. Like I moved out for 2.5 years, and I came back, and like I wanted like a warm hug back to like where I came from,
Right.
And I didn't get that. Like I got, let us know when you're ready to do some assignments in the
Oh
poly.
my gosh.
Like literally that was what I got first. And I told them like, just get me going. Like I'd rather just get started and busy, like keep it up. And they kind of just, and I would tell them every meeting, like, hey, like I'm serious. Like I'm here. Like,
yeah,
you guys can give me assignments and stuff. And they wouldn't, like, they were like, yeah, we'll talk about it. They never did anything. Like,
wow. So your thing was essentially the thing that they preach all the time, like you mentioned earlier, that they're just imperfect. It's whatever. Don't let them perfect men like change your way of think. I mean, from coming, keeping you from coming or whatever to the meetings. That's rare. I mean, that's not rare. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's extremely common because a lot of people are two-faced. A lot of the brothers are two-faced. A lot of the brothers are the real wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean, I lived with a JW family that was really two-faced. Like they were very verbally and mentally abusive, and there were a lot of times that I said, I'm not going anywhere because I'm down and depressed because of the way I was talked to, the way I was looked at, and also my marriage at the time. It was being affected by their attitude, the way they carried themselves. So I get why you would have those thoughts. Did you ever go into doctrines and be like, hey, this doesn't make sense? What
I did. There was quite a few things. The thing, I guess, at the excuse me, at the back of my mind, when before I left, because I had a plan when I was going out. Like you didn't know about my plan. I did have a plan when I told my parents, because I was ready for it to go real sideways real fast. Like I expected to get kicked out. So I left. Like I told them, hey, this is what's happening, and I left. I had a place to go. I had a girlfriend in Michigan, and she had a house. And
you had a worldly girlfriend.
A worldly girlfriend. Ooh, I know. Which was another thing I had to tell my mom. Like, by the way, I'm dating a worldly girl, and I'm leaving. Bye.
The worst son in the world.
That was my style, though. Like, if I didn't like just go, I had to go in the spur of the moment. Like, and that I decided to move in like a week. The same way with Rochester. It just took a week, and then I was gone. Wow. I had to do all of that, and that was like the last thing I did. And I was leaving like maybe at the end of the week. So yeah,
that sounds like a lot.
It was a whole process.
But to have a plan, bro, like that's a lot of people don't think about being prepared like that. So I commend you for that. And not everybody is also going to have a plan while having a girl on the side.
Yeah. So I think.
How did that happen? Like, okay, fine.
No, we can talk about it. We can talk about it. It's fine. It's brief. It sounds dorky, but I met her in a video game. Okay. I met her playing this game.
PG. Okay.
Yeah, it's PG. It's PG. Met her in a video game.
A worldly video
game that
continues.
That had magic and stuff. And a lot of association with not witness people. But yeah, that's what I picked that up in Rochester, actually. And I played that game a lot, and it involves talking to other people a lot. So that's where I met her, and I was friends with her for a while, and 3 years later then I started dating her.
Okay.
So that she kind of, I guess, gave me a way out to not be here physically, because I didn't want to deal with the kickback. Like if there was going to be kickback, I just didn't want to deal with it. And so I moved over there, and nobody knew. So I was like, oh, great. That confirms that like I'm just invisible to these people now.
Oh, I didn't know anything.
Exactly. I left. My mom told the others that I was gone, and they sent me like an email. They didn't even give me a phone call, bro. And at that point, I was like, no, bro, if I'm not worth a phone call, like, don't talk to me.
Right.
I was at that time, I was very bitter with them because I was just non-existent. I was a servant that was just being shadowed for some early, what I mean, blacklisted almost. It felt like, because I was getting no invitations to the meetings or anything for the Zoom, and I was just not talked to. Nobody in the congregation would talk to me. And it took, I think, my closest friends, the guys I ran with.
Right.
It took them like 5 months to realize that I was gone. Wow. Like, that's a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't hear from them for 5 months, and I'm talking to you like this is like during the pandemic. So like everyone's home using their phones. Like, again, a phone call, bro.
Right.
A text message.
And to be honest, I think it was a lot had to do with the pandemic. And actually, a lot of people used the pandemic to leave.
Yeah.
As an excuse, because you could go to any congregation you want now with Zoom.
True.
So you have like 2 years of this thing still happening, going on, that it was a lot easier for people. But it was also there was this gap before we started doing Zoom, that there was no meetings, no gatherings. And I think that was the time that a lot of people just got to like read the Bible. And because I look back at YouTubers on here, and a lot of them started in 2020, 2021. It's like, and it's very common.
Yeah. People got thinking and studying and researching.
Just
happened to me, bro. It didn't happen initially because I was so focused on starting my life there in Michigan and impressing, her grandparents and her parents and blah, blah, blah. It hit me maybe a year into being to Michigan. Something popped up in my feed, like on YouTube or something. It had to do about witnesses, and I watched it, and then I just kept watching it and watching things. And obviously I ended up on the infamous Lloyd Evans channel, but at the time that's who we'd look to. Like, those were the videos at the time. Like,
at that time,
and I would listen to them all day at work, and my mind would just explode constantly. And at that point, like, things started just making sense. And I started thinking back, like, what started my thought process of this, and it was actually an outline that I had for one of my talks, which was, is there a true religion from God's standpoint?
Wow.
And one of the scriptures that they have in there is in maybe Matthew 6, where it talks about the tree bearing good fruit and the tree bearing bad fruit.
Right. Yep.
And so my mind, I was super confused. I'm like, I've seen so much bad fruit come out of what's supposed to be the good tree.
Yeah, that's sad.
And I kept thinking about it. I'm like, but like things that I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. Like, that's not good. Like, I'm like, how can they justify things like that? And so that stuck with me for a long time. And that was kind of, I think, the thing that really got me over the hill. You know what I mean? Despite other things too that helped me get there, but that was it, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you telling me a little bit about that talk. But that is that's a powerful title for a talk. And for you to look up the information and trying to give this talk, wow. Did you end up giving the talk?
It was a talk I had given before several times.
Okay.
I had prepared it in Nepali. Fun fact, I never gave an English or Spanish public talk. They were all Nepali.
Wow. You see how I telling the truth when I say you disappeared fast, and it was like I didn't know what were you? Where were you?
Yeah. Nepali, yeah. And it was a good topic for Nepali because they believe in a lot of gods, and some are Buddhist, a lot are Hindu, some are Christian. So it was like something that kind of covered multiple religions. And so they thought Jermaine actually thought it would be a good one to start off on.
That guy.
Yeah.
Man. Man, this interview is going pretty good so far. Let's see. I want to check in on the chat. To see.
Show him some love.
I think this was Nate when I said that we look like brothers. He says definitely looks like Kim. Sean Vern, how are you guys? I hope you guys are enjoying the live so far. Yeah, this is a lot to unpack, and
for sure,
we missed a lot over the years, me and you. Like, you had a crush on my sister or something like that back then.
Some embarrassing stuff there. She ever tell you?
No, I didn't know that.
Even Ashley knows it,
bro. I didn't know.
All right, I'm not gonna lie. I called your sister one time at like 2 a.m. I think Jovan was with me, and we sung her a song. I'm not lying, bro. I am not lying.
At 2 a.m. At
2 a.m.
Wait a minute. When was this? Because I must have been young too.
I think I was 16, 17. That's about the time I started hanging out with people from your hall. Like I started hanging out with your brother-in-law, your ex-brother-in-law's wife.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still thinking about this. What was your question?
It wasn't a question.
What was your statement?
I said it was around that time, 16, 17, when I started hanging out with people from your hall.
Okay.
Around that time, because I would go out there to go preaching because there wouldn't be people in my group. And I don't know, I went there trying to find John. I don't know if you remember John. I mean, John.
The sign language John?
Was he the sign language?
His parents were
No, not him. No, I went to school with him.
Oh, okay.
The other John that was.
Oh, yeah, okay.
North.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was there that day, and that's when I met the group of girls that were pioneering at the time there in your hall, and that's when I met them, and we started going out in service, and everything was, I don't know, that's like, it just clicked, and I started going there often. I was like, oh, this is pretty dope, like people a little older than me, and we're all just trying to serve God.
Right.
And that's, I think, how I started meeting all you guys. Through that interaction. But
so were you around when Ashley had those gatherings?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you were part of the reason why a lot of those people showed up. I remember now.
Yeah, from my hall. Yeah, we also had like a bunch of young teenagers in our hall, so it's like it was like your hall, and then our hall was like the big teenage groups at the time.
Yes, there's a lot of us. Yeah, and right now, where you sit, do you miss anything about it? Or I guess I could say, do you miss anything about the organization? I might necessarily say like the people. I mean, other than your friends, of course.
Well, yeah, obviously we miss people.
Right. Yeah.
I miss. I guess I like the gatherings. I like being having places to go, having these different things that people were into.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's a lot different because some people aren't into, I don't know, like going to concerts, or some people aren't into hiking. Like people have different things, so it's harder to find people that want to do that kind of stuff now. But back then, like, we just knew everybody that was into all these sports things. Or in my circle group, all our friends were into everything. So if I was like, hey, we haven't done this in a while, you're like, you're right, let's get some people together. And it was that simple. It was easier to get out, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I remember on that time when a lot of gatherings were happening, but it's also all the softball that happened like every Saturday. Like we do it like close to like snow time. And that's what I miss, those gatherings, because now a lot of us that I'm now finally understand
Mhm.
each other are all over the place. I have a platform here on YouTube.
Mhm.
I have a Discord, and or I'm on Discord, and I get to interact, and it's a great time. I have fun, and we talk and stuff, but we don't have like it's the distance that keeps us from actually seeing each other
Right.
and being around each other, being around that, have that environment.
Mhm.
And in the organization, you had that. You could, even if you didn't even know the person,
Yeah.
but that's because everyone's so close. So it's a shame that we have to, uh, you know, sacrifice all of that just because we want to do the right thing. And now we're stuck with being home, going to work, going to sleep, and doing it all over again. I mean, am I saying that I miss being in the organization?
You better calm down right now.
Waking up every Saturday morning.
He's gonna drop the X on his channel. But no, it was good times. I guess for you it was softball. I went to a couple softball games. I wasn't always invited, but we for a while we were doing tennis a lot. For a while, I mean, we're always doing basketball. Basketball was something we play street ball all the time.
Yeah.
Our biggest thing I think was soccer in the summers. We had a pretty big group of people that would show up for soccer. Just it'd be random. It was mostly people from my hall, but there would be people from Ludlow. Some people from Connecticut would show up. Wow. Like it's pretty random. But that was like my favorite thing to do was soccer. Like we were really into it.
Wow. You soccer, me softball. Then I was invited to play basketball once, and I tried it. I couldn't breathe. These brothers are so athletic, bro. I mean, all that service, all that field service. Man, I couldn't keep up.
But your ex-brother-in-law, I invited him to play basketball at my house one time.
That is.
Do you remember? Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about that. Was that when he messed up his arm?
His ankle.
His ankle. Yes, it was.
He literally stepped onto the court and his ankle just. I literally thought he was faking it from. He literally took one step, but he stepped like in a crack and went sideways, and I was like, "Bro,
this dude, man, he's so clumsy, man." That's all that weight too, man.
Yeah, it's like that.
Jeez. No, I mean, of course, I'm gonna miss certain aspects of it, of the organization, and it's only natural for us to miss what we did have. Mm-hmm. A lot of us don't really care because a lot of us didn't really have that much of an upbringing in the organization. Like, I had my whole life. Sorry, I'm stuffy. I was my whole life was in there, so I had to start over. Mm-hmm. With exiting and stuff. So, what do you feel like you have to start over, or do you feel like it was a pretty easy, gradual transition?
No, I don't. It was not easy for me. It maybe was comforting that I had someone to distract me at the time. From everything, but it was not easy because I realized that even though I had left, I was still thinking like a witness till I realized until I actually woke up. And so it kind of still affected the way I would view the world and view things or certain situations, how I would handle things. And it's like, wait, I don't have to do things like this. Like I was able to think outside the box, like I was able to, all right, hold up, there's more options here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that took some time to fall out of like these habits. And sometimes I'll still catch myself thinking certain thoughts and I'm just like, nah. But yeah, it took a while. It wasn't easy. It's definitely worrisome because you kind of lose your sense of self. Like, who am I supposed to be now? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Like what's the right choice here? Was what I was thinking,
right.
Which is different for everybody. You know what I mean? It's there's no definitive answer to that. And I guess that bothered me because I was like, I need instruction. Like we were trained to receive instruction,
Right.
and now I had to like think for myself. And it's like, oh,
Right.
crap.
It's like we were in subjection to the congregation or the elders, and also relied on them for instruction.
Mhm.
Watched our magazines. It was like reading a manual for our life, and now that was gone. So we felt like we were falling apart, and we had no guidance. So that sucks. And I guess you know, I can ask you, where do you find yourself moving forward? You know, like what do you plan on doing now? Like I don't really want to touch base on what you believe in
Mhm.
because everyone has a different belief. You know, there are some people that believe in Jehovah, some people that don't believe in Jehovah, some people that believe in the Trinity, some don't. You know, everyone has their own beliefs, and
Mhm.
I'm not a channel about ex, um, you know, criticizing anyone for their beliefs. I'm not, and I'm also inviting people to criticize my videos. I'm inviting people to criticize my beliefs.
Mhm.
I'm putting it out there, so it's kind of expected. I mean, this is social media. Sometimes
Right.
people are assholes. You
That's
just
true.
got to take it. But I also want constructive criticism, obviously, you know, and I'm all for that. I don't. It doesn't bother me because, um, you know, maybe you tell me something, right,
Mhm.
and I learn from it, and or if I tell you something back, you learn from it. So that's
Mhm.
why it's constructive criticism, right? You build off of it, and
Mhm.
so I'm just trying to say is like, without touching on your beliefs, if you want
Right.
to share your beliefs, that's fine too.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to sound too pushy
No.
or nosy. Because I mean, but then again, I kind of do because we're friends. I'm only doing this for the show.
No.
But um, is there plan for the future for Mr. JASIA?
Plan.
Are you gonna settle down? Are you gonna go back to a church?
I don't see myself going back to a church.
Okay.
I guess organized religion is one of those things that doesn't sit well with me. So I don't see myself
Mm-hmm.
doing that, unless something seems right about it. Like I don't know, it'd take a lot. I guess a lot of
Mm-hmm.
research
Mm-hmm.
for me to make that decision for that. But
So you find yourself at, you know, comfortable at ease, like you don't feel like you have to feed your, I guess, like, you know, you're all set, you don't have to continue seeking answers.
I still do. I still will um, research um, certain things because I do have a lot of questions and I do believe in a lot of science, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a fascinating thing. Like the more we learn about ourselves and where we are in this
Mm-hmm.
in space and things like that, we progress like as humans. So right now it's just interesting to watch like where we are as humans and how things are progressing. Like for instance, like with AI, like how that's going to affect humans, and then 5 to 10 years, like we're going to be very different. How we operate our
Yeah.
lives. So to me, that's a lot more interesting, and it's very factual. I guess I struggle. I not to say that I don't believe in a God. I wouldn't consider myself an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I definitely believe there is some type of spiritual being, if not beings, that exist. I think it's something that is a valid thing for people to think that there's something more.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little like closed-minded to think that there's not, but I guess people have different experiences in life, so I don't judge anybody for
Right.
not either.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah.
And you know, my favorite thing is, you know, everything up there in the universe. I've always been obsessed with my sister. That was the biggest thing with me and my sister. We connected very well when it came to stuff like that. You know, checking out the planets, the galaxies, and all that stuff. And we'd always get into that conversation of, you know, after paradise, this is this is the planet I want to visit, because obviously Earth's gonna be too full, so we gotta go somewhere else.
So I used to think the same thing.
And I used to be like, man, it's true. Like, there's so many galaxies too when you think about it. Like, we're part of one galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not to, you know, shame on anyone who believes in um, certain beliefs about the universe. I personally feel like there is a higher person involved,
Mm-hmm.
some spiritual being, because there's a lot to just still to discover. I mean, we're still discovering animals that are beneath the ocean.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know about the ocean.
And the thing is, and my thing was like, if there's a specific DNA for every type of living form,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that nobody can replicate it, nobody can create, you know, a robot with your thinking and your way of doing things, with your, like, there's,
Mm-hmm.
it can't be replicated because there's some artist involved.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't ever replicate a masterpiece. Like, it's very unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's someone's hand at work, and that's where I'm at, and that's part of the reason why I can't let go, because it's the unknown. I want to continue knowing. And do you find yourself struggling to, like, do you get frustrated with like how you ended up now, like with the obviously, you know, we're all frustrated with the organization, but
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to figuring out your life, does it frustrate you? Like,
It did. It did a lot when I woke up, because um by the time I fully woke up, I was 28, and it was now I had to learn to live again. You know,
Right, yeah.
we've you know, everyone that's gone through it knows you have to like learn life.
Right.
You're a kid, but you don't get to be a kid.
Right. Is it like you mentioned before? Yeah, education too was a big thing. That you can't even seek any higher education. And that was probably what would have helped us if we did.
Yeah.
When leaving the organization, like if I would have gone to a 4-year college and studied what I studied, and I'll be all set. You know, I'll have the house that I need. Mm-hmm. I'll have everything that I need. So when I leave, I'll be fine. And I would have been fine financially as well.
Yeah.
But so that frustrates me. That the fact that I have to start over and I constantly find myself, you know, asking myself, what if, right? What if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? But I'm talking about before I got baptized. Like, what if I would have gone to college? What if I had gotten this job? And then where would I be at now?
Yeah.
And then the what ifs also, like, what if I would have never spoken to an elder? They would have never gotten to another elder. Then enough for me to be like, okay, screw you guys, you're not helping me. To seek out my best friend at the time who ended up backstabbing me. Mm-hmm. You know, I always think of the what ifs. What if I would have done this and done that differently? But it is what it is. I mean, I'm not disfellowshipped, as far as I know.
Same.
You know, it's funny because my ex called me one day.
Yeah.
And she says, "You're disfellowshipped?" I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, "Yeah, you just been announced disfellowshipped at the hall." And I'm just like, for what reason? And this was, I had done like maybe my 3rd video on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, nobody told me anything. I wasn't a part of any meeting. And so I guess she heard from somebody that said that I was announced disfellowshipped. And I ended up that I wanted to just like let it go, because I'm like, it's whatever. I mean, I am an apostate now. So but you know, it still bothered me. At night, I ended up texting an elder, and I was like, yo, I was like, what's this? Why am I finding out I'm disfellowshipped? Like, I did not have any meeting, I did not talk to nobody. And they said, no, you're not disfellowshipped. So, but this was back in, I don't know, like in August of last year. And right now, sitting in March, who knows what could have been said? Because back in August, I was still having my coworkers talk to me, and now they don't.
True.
And I work with a bunch of witnesses, so that's something. But anyway, listen, man, I am thinking about cutting our interview.
Okay.
I wanted to see what's going on in chat right now. If anybody wanted to stop in and say hi, I can say hi back, or maybe JASIA can say hi back, or if anybody has some questions for us or questions for him.
Questions are welcome.
Yes. Hey, Edward, Washington. That's this dude. Hello.
Hi.
Jay's here. Hey, what's up, Jay? Yeah, so I just want to say thank you, for coming out here.
Definitely.
And it's great to know that I can talk to somebody
I know
about my beliefs and about what I am basically. Other than my wife, my beautiful wife.
Besides you and my other friend Ralphie, that's the only people I talk to about this.
We gotta hang out with Ralphie a little more. Like, definitely. If you're watching, bro, we gotta do something. Yeah, we gotta chill. But I just want to say, I appreciate your sacrifices coming out here, and I know you work tomorrow, and
true.
And we appreciate your story. Your side of things, your point of views, things that you went through. Maybe I can just end it with asking you: is there any advice that you have that you can give those watching right now, who are maybe PMO, or they just really want to leave? Anything that you can tell them?
I guess what I would tell them if they're still in that PMO state, if you know when the best time is to do what you need to do. It's don't rush your situation. And if you think you're in a situation that's precarious and you have to do what you have to do to maintain a living, if you have to remain PMO to have a place to live because you're afraid to live out in the street, that's totally understandable. Don't feel bad about it. There's going to come a time when you're going to be able to move, and you can set yourself up. And there's plenty of people inside of your community and inside the XJW community that can assist in many ways too. You're not alone, and there is life after.
Yeah, right. There's definitely life out here, and it's a good one. There are good people in it. Thank you. Yeah, those are great words. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I want all you guys to know I have a video coming out soon, these next few days, that touches based on basically this topic about leaving and discovering your your way of thinking out the box. And there are some advices that I have that I can give you guys as well, but maybe I can give you one as well if you're watching and you're PMO. It's like JASIA said, you have people outside the organization that can help, but also you have, or it's important to understand that you seek outside sources to help you cope with your feelings and to talk to about your thoughts, because the witnesses, when you talk to them, they're just going to think that you're crazy and shut you down fast. And you thinking or feeling that you're crazy is not a good thing. I know. So, but anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I am rambling on again. Jesus.
Gotcha.
How many times do we say Jesus? I'm pretty sure Jesus is like, yes, can I help you?
All right. Waking up from sleep.
Thank you guys for joining on. And I appreciate all you guys for giving me the likes, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. have a website. Check that in the description. You can check that out. I have t-shirts, coffee mugs that I'm selling on there. Now I sound like a salesman. I'm promoting my stuff. Jesus.
Advertise.
Anyway, you guys, thank you guys very much. I apologize for my nerves and my lack of knowledge sometimes when I speak. Once again, round of applause for JASIA. JASIA.
Bro, you messed up my name?
Josiah.
Are you kidding me?
Josiah.
I'm out of here.
It's because I'm calling Josiah. So, thank you, man.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you for coming on. We'll check you guys out. Say bye
See
to
ya.
everybody.
See ya.
Guys.